got the turbo Civic here. We got my buddy here just came by to check it out. So we're gonna start it up for him. We're gonna give him some blow-off valve sounds. Here, you want to hold it on your end? Watch the turbo spool, yeah? See it?
Yeah.
Spins right away or what? Yeah. And then you just warm it up. Sick. What do you think, man?
That's pretty cool, dude.
Yep.
I'll still smoke you with my car though.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's probably day 3 or 4 here that we're working on the Civic, and we're just doing the final touches for everything to work properly. I'm trying to get some of the fender liner back in. I tighten all the clamps for the intercooler charge pipes. Right now what we're working on is a blow-off valve shield. Now you guys know there's going to be water contamination coming from, you know, just driving in the rain over here, and with my blow-off valve position right here, it's going to get some of that water into those surfaces, and it may eventually cause some rusting and, you know, just contamination. So very cheap, I got a cap from my Super Clean sponsor, and we're making a shield out of it. So I'm trying to position this thing right here on the blow-off valve. It's still gonna have space around it to vent, and I'm making this open vent here on the engine side of things so it can breathe easily. And essentially, I'll show you guys. You see that fits right in. It's gonna be kind of sitting right over here, and it's going to be something along those lines. Again, it has space around it to vent, and it's going to have this open vent here, so it should be fine. It shouldn't cause any issues. It's a perfect little splash guard shield for the blow-off valve, again, so I can limit the amount of maintenance I do on it. I don't have to re-grease it every couple months or 1,000 miles. This is, I believe, perfect. So putting that in, some of the areas where it was really tight, I put some extra like rubber hoses around the sharp edges so the pipes don't eventually wear and tear. And that's about it. I already got it off these. It's just on jack stand support. Once I finish the blow-off valve, guys, essentially put the bumper back on, and we are ready to go. I did put a lot more let's go down here. I did put a lot more silicone grease on the bottom here, the RTV Permatex, just so that this little crack in the hairline crack with the oil pan kind of stops leaking. It was already doing really good. There was barely any leak coming from it the last time I put the seal on, but I just slapped a little bit more because I actually missed one spot where there was a crack. And this is gonna have to dry probably about 6 more hours, so later on in the day, probably in the evening, I'll start it up, check the leaks again, and then most likely we're gonna go for a drive in the evening when there's less traffic, just so we can slowly drive the car. Probably head up a parking lot first, run it through 1 or 2 gears, see how their fuel ratios look, see how the tune looks. But other than that, guys, really excited. I still want to get a filter on this thing. If you guys can see, there's not much room for a filter here unless you do like a pipe and a filter. Probably could run an intake going up here through the radiator heater hoses here under that, and kind of position it here. But again, you need some custom pipe cuts or something like that. I was just thinking about throwing on a filter right over here just temporarily, but again, a lot of tight clearances, so we might be running an open filter for a little bit until I decide what I want to do. But everything is tight, everything is good, and let's get to it, man. All right, and this is the finished product, guys. As you can see, plenty of ventilation if I want to just see how the blow-off valve is working and opening and closing, because you got to tune these blow-off valves too, the spring preload. Either it could be too tight or too loose, and we kind of went and did some preload tuning on that already. But again, if I'm driving, I can just turn this way here. Now all the water that's coming out, gonna splash, is protected. But like I said, we got plenty of venting here, so that won't cause any problems. And honestly, it looks almost factory, so I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, to speed up the process here, I got a fan blowing on the engine for about an hour or two. I'm also charging the battery. Look at that cap. Look at that. Perfect splash shield. Love it. Everything's dialed in, bolted in as far as I can tell. I got Honda. I'm gonna start her up in a second here and show you guys how the cold start sounds like from the back. Now, I did add about 3% more fuel on the vacuum side from the base map, because it was adding roughly a couple percent on low vacuum from idling, from what I could tell. And yeah, well, from what I heard, there's a break-in period. Technically, some turbos recommend 100 to 200 miles. Stay out of boost. Just let the seals, you know, do what they need to do in order for it to be a good turbo, not leaking later on. So that's what we're gonna try to do. We're gonna try to just drive normally. We're gonna see how the car behaves, how the shifting is. Sadly, yes, automatic transmission, but I don't give a shit. Those turbo spools are priceless no matter what car you have. I wish I had a manual transmission, but I've had this car. We pretty much bought it new. My father bought it new. I bought it off of him back in high school, and I've had it ever since. So I'm just gonna run it the way it is. And yeah, let's pull up Honda here. And that's the new calibration. So let's give you guys a cold start from the back. Definitely hear more airflow coming out from that exhaust, even that idle. All right, well, let's let it warm up a little bit. See, it's adding 2% of fuel right now, but again, it's not warmed up yet, so that's okay. Again, this is very rough draft here. It's a base tune. We're just trying to see what's gonna happen. I'll tell you, I can smell those exhaust gases right now, big time. And that's all the way. That exhaust is coming out. Remember, this is a full exhaust, and that crap is coming out from the pipe. If you're running an open down pipe here off the turbo, all that smell is going to be right up in your vicinity here. So everything's looking better. It's already getting a little richer here, as you can see by the short-term fuel trims, so that's good. Richer is better. First of all, it's hot out, IATs are up. You're going to be running a little rich. Nothing wrong with that. Remember, lean blows the motors, rich keeps it cool and safe. You may have less power running rich, but at this point, running this baseline, I'm cool with it. So I'm going to let it warm up for about half an hour, 20 minutes, maybe not that much. 20 minutes, I'll let it warm up, let it cycle through the fans. If there's no leak from that oil pan, I'm going to get out of here, go to a local parking lot down the road, drive it a couple times here, come back home, check if it's leaking. If it's not, we'll go for like a solid test drive later on. And that's it. That's gonna be it for this video, guys. I'm pretty much just gonna, I don't know if I'll film me doing this, because I gotta focus on the tune, focus on driving, but I'll definitely maybe let you guys know how it went. Now, I don't plan to drive far initially, but I'm ready for the worst. I got my fire extinguisher, a bunch of tools in case I need to tighten something, gloves, papers, something to clean it with, oil, more RTV in case I need it. Yeah, let's go. All right, drove it for about 10 minutes around a couple streets here. Honestly, it feels the same. It sounds exactly like stock. The transmission, I noticed, is shifting a little bit rougher here and there, but it's still too small to know for sure. Yeah, definitely definitely steaming here a little bit, and that could be just the gasket maker, honestly, because I'm not seeing anything else. My line is super hot, so I'm sure I'm getting oil feed coming in there. And you can see that the fans just turned on, so we're definitely at operating temperatures. Looking at the tune right now, you can see my short-term fuel trims are barely adjusting here. That's pretty -2. Other things, the other ones are pretty much at 0 or 1, -1. So the tune right there at vacuum looks pretty good at these temperatures. I'm not seeing anything crazy. I might pop my head under the car just to see if there's a leak from that oil pan, but so far so good. All right, guys, we are here. We got Bullet's garage here. I'm gonna be revving it up. First impressions. Hold this camera on yourself.
He won millions in Doge.
Yeah, that's why I'm buying this from BULLI.
Now let's see this. Let's see this power. Sounds like turbo flutter. There, it built some boost.
That's off of the.
How much RPM was that?
It's like 3.5 is my limiter.
I mean, the first couple times it didn't even make
Open
enough
it.
boost
Yeah.
to open it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, if it's low thing, it won't open. But once it builds up more pressure, I guess the vacuum pressure changes and opens. But as long as it closes, that's the thing, because you can adjust the pressure here. If I make it loose, it'll stay open at idle, and that's too little preload. So I got it to a point where I think it's happy, and it's like once the RPM settle down, it doesn't like want to go stumble.
Well, GSF is ready. We're gonna roll it or what? Do a roll race?
Not probably in the next 2 weeks while I fine tune this thing. But he got a little spool noise when we were driving.
Did he?
I didn't even go into boost, but I like a little higher RPMs. If you roll into it and go off, you heard like.
Yeah, it reminds me.
But it's a lot of flutter though.
Mm.
It's a lot of flutter though. You hear the flutter?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like the flutter because that's technically going like it's not venting enough and it's going back in the turbo. So I don't know. And I got this pretty loose where it's like it shouldn't have any flutter, but then again the turbo's so small it maybe just keeps on pushing. But yeah, guys, we're gonna head back to Bullet's garage's house. Driving is steady. Stay tuned for the other videos, updates, whatnot. Peace.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true.